What's up everybody? With the brand new Overwatch Kanezaka map having just been released for us to try out, naturally my first instinct is to take to the streets and see if I can find any new hero teasers. And while this is typical protocol for every time Blizzard releases a new map or some sort of content which we can deeply analyze, this time there actually is a teaser for a new hero on this map. And it ain't who you probably think it is. So in today's video, I'm going to delve into what we know about this upcoming Overwatch 2 hero, and all the details pertaining to them which exist on the Kanezaka map. This is Master Ian Gamer, and real quick before I jump into the video, I want to remind you to subscribe and hit that bell icon if you never want to miss any of my future Overwatch news and content, and feel free to hit that join button down below to become a channel member and help support my channel and videos. But now, let's take a deep dive into the upcoming new Fox hero, who's going to be added with Overwatch 2. Now, as I mentioned, my first instinct upon jumping onto this map for the first time was to take a look around and see if there was any possible posters or little details hinting at a new hero coming. And what stuck out first to myself, and probably most people, is this image here of what appears to be a mech pilot similar in design to D.Va. Now, this character has a very cool design and definitely looks like the type of character you could expect to be a playable hero, but I'll just be upfront and honest, this isn't a new hero, at least not yet. In fact, if we go back and look at some of the original hero concept images from way back in the day, way before Overwatch ever even launched, we can actually see this is an existing character from the early stages known as Brit. Now, of course, this doesn't immediately make it impossible for them to become a new hero. In fact, if anything, would make it more likely for them to be a hero if they were teased early on like this. But one thing which is important to keep in mind is that the majority of heroes we see here who eventually ended up being actual heroes we now have in game underwent pretty significant changes from what we see in these concept artworks. Either they've undergone visual changes or parts of their kit have been changed substantially. But the key thing to take note of here is that each of the characters we see in this image are, at best, early iterations of those heroes. They would have changed something. Most notably, they probably would have taken the measly extra step of at least drawing original artwork of her. The fact that Brit, after all these years, looks quite literally identical to the concept art. Like, they literally just took the image from the concept art, put it on a poster, and then animated it a bit to make it look more visually interesting. The fact that this is a literal transplant of concept artwork, which is more than half a decade old at this point, makes me think that, no, Blizzard isn't giving any special attention to this character, and therefore, no, they are not an upcoming hero. And on top of all that, come on, you really think Blizzard would make a new upcoming hero teaser this obvious? This is just way too blatant. There's no way that this image right here is teasing Brit as an imminent new hero. Not a chance. Blizzard may have just added her to add more flavor to the map, or maybe they intentionally did it to mislead us, but regardless, I looked around the map a bit more. There's a couple other posters of human characters on the map. None of them really stick out as characters which I really think are going to be a new hero. Well, necessarily that is. I'll be coming back to one of these images in particular a bit later, after I've covered who I believe the new hero actually is. So after my initial sweep of the map and dismissal of the characters we see here, my thoughts were, okay, maybe there isn't a new hero being teased. But then, the Overwatch developer update came out for the new map, and talking also a little bit about Overwatch 2, which we're going to learn more about at the upcoming BlizzCon, and Jeff had some very, very interesting and notable things to say about the details of this specific map.
And the attention to detail on the map is really cool. In fact, it's not just some random setting. There's a lot of contextual storytelling we're doing in this free-for-all map with some Easter eggs and some payoff that's going to come in Overwatch 2, but we're going to learn more not only about our two favorite Shimada brothers, but possibly some other people as well that relate to that whole group. So there's other, like I mentioned, story Easter egg. You should really pay attention to every piece of graffiti, every location in this. Now,
after hearing what Jeff Kaplan had to say about this map, I was thoroughly convinced there was something for us to find here. So I took back to its streets and lo and behold, I came across this patch of graffiti. Now, as you heard in the clip I just played, Jeff Kaplan specifically mentioned graffiti as being something we should pay attention to, and unless I'm just totally blind, I don't really see any other prominent bits of graffiti across this entire map. So let's take a look at this fairly elaborate graffiti and see what all it has in store for us. Well, right off the bat, we can see someone's rancid sandaled foot sticking out in the middle. On the right side, we have what looks like an eyeball. And then, oh yeah, on the left, we have a pretty clear image of a fox. Now, as soon as I noticed the fox here, I immediately remembered that on my initial sweep of the map, there are actually 2 fox statues we see outside what is presumably the entrance to a temple located on the map. After looking at these a bit more closely and doing a bit of research, it turns out that these are most likely supposed to be Inari foxes, or maybe it's pronounced a bit differently. I'm not super knowledgeable about Japanese culture, I apologize. But essentially, Inari foxes are fox statues which are supposed to portray celestial creatures that are considered the messengers of Inari. Again, I'm not entirely sure who Inari is. I believe they're a Shinto deity from my quick research I've done. But anyways, foxes in Japanese culture don't purely exist as these Inari statues. Foxes in general are considered to be mythical sort of beings and are often associated with cunningness, intelligence, and good fortune. And as I'm sure many of you know, they also go by the term kitsune, which is typically, at least in Western culture to my knowledge, used to refer to foxes which can transform into humans, or at least take on a human form. So there's certainly a lot of interesting mythology and cultural significance when it comes to foxes in Japanese culture, and given that Kanezaka is a Japanese map, I think this is a pretty important lead. There definitely seems to be some kind of reoccurring fox theme here between the statues and the graffiti, and after considering it, we don't have any Overwatch heroes already who are really associated with foxes. We have Hanzo with his wolf skins, but a wolf isn't a fox, and they're definitely different in terms of their significance in Japanese culture, so could this potentially be teasing a new fox hero? And that's when it hit me. As many of you likely recall, way back at BlizzCon 2019, there was a Game Informer article published where one of the journalists who attended a closed-door conference with Jeff Kaplan and other Blizzard developers apparently got a sneak peek at 4 silhouettes of upcoming Overwatch 2 heroes. And one of these heroes in particular apparently had a fox companion. Let me just read through this article real quickly here to give you the context. The hero that stood out the most, and I couldn't take my eyes off of, appeared to be a female with short hair. At her side and standing up to her knees was a fuzzy little critter with pointy ears and an equally pointy tail. It looked like a fennec fox, but with longer ears and a more aggressive stance. The hero of note wielded a giant 4-sided weapon, which is somewhat similar to the shuriken used by a character in Final Fantasy VII, but much thicker. At first glance, this weapon looks like it's used for melee purposes, but given Overwatch is a science fiction universe, I wouldn't rule out the possibility of it being thrown like a boomerang or attached to some kind of chain, which I didn't see. Regarding the animal, your guess is as good as mine. Whether it will be on the battlefield or not, there's a chance it could be summoned like Bob for an ultimate, or not be used at all like Bastion's bird Ganymede. Given how prominent it was in this artwork though, I get the feeling this animal is used in some way. Imagine being able to tell it who to attack or pin down by aiming at the foe. Again, this is all speculation, but from the silhouette alone, this looks to be one of the wildest heroes for the game yet. Now, I'll be honest, when I initially read through this article over a year ago now, back when it released around BlizzCon 2019, I dismissed it more or less on the grounds that these easily could have just been silhouettes of hero concept Blizzard was using to represent the idea of adding multiple new heroes. I didn't believe it was necessarily the case that the individual silhouettes were actually going to be upcoming heroes, but considering everything I just discussed on the new map, and Jeff Kaplan's own words of saying we should be paying attention to these map details, and the way they just fit perfectly with the description of this one particular character who was shown off as an upcoming Overwatch 2 hero, I think it's pretty clear cut at this point that this is in fact the new hero. We don't know their name, we don't know what they look like exactly outside of the fact that they're female, have short hair, and seem to have some kind of fox companion. As for the fox itself, we don't know if it's an actual animal, or maybe it's an omnic fox, or some sort of spirit fox, kind of like Genji and Hanzo's dragons. We don't know whether it's actually involved with her kit and her abilities, or if it's just purely there to help build her character outside of combat, but I am thoroughly convinced that the character we see teased on Kanezaka is one and the same with the hero mentioned by this Game Informer article. As for their giant four-sided shuriken-like weapon, I really don't know what to say about that. Just like the author of this article said, it seems like that weapon could do any number of different things, and honestly, I could probably just make an entire separate video speculating on what that would end up being. Anyways, focusing back on the details we do have, another thing I want to point out is that Jeff Kaplan specifically mentioned that the important details on this map not only pertain to the story and upcoming lore of Overwatch 2, but also Hanzo and Genji specifically and their whole situation. Now, it's possible that he meant simply the fact that they're all Japanese and they all take place within the Japanese city of Hanamura as being what connects all the different characters, being Hanzo and Genji plus the Fox Girl. However, I think it's going to end up being a bit more intricate than that. Specifically, I think this Fox Girl is going to end up being associated with the Shimada clan. Now, we don't know a whole ton about the Shimada clan outside of that they were basically the Yakuza of the Overwatch universe, and that Hanzo and Genji used to be part of it, given that their last name is Shimada. Their father was literally the head of the clan, but it sounds like after Hanzo killed Genji and got all moody and stuff, Hanzo was basically kicked out, which is why we see him fighting Shimada goons in his animated short, and it seems like Hanzo and Genji aren't on the best terms with the Shimada clan at this point. So much so that in the animated short, we actually learn that other assassins had been sent after Hanzo prior to his encounter with Genji. Is it possible that this Fox Girl is one of those other assassins? Maybe, maybe not. It's sort of implied that Hanzo probably ended up killing the other assassins, so again, maybe she is one. But I do definitely think there's some connection here with the Shimada clan. Either she's one of the ninjas or people who exists within the clan, maybe she's like a distant cousin of Hanzo and Genji. I know there's that whole theory about Hanzo and Genji having a secret sister we've never heard of, and I really hope that's not the case because that completely undermines the significance of Hanzo and Genji's relationship with each other. But maybe she's a distant family member or just part of the clan and not actually related by blood, or maybe she's just an outsider who's trying to sort of get her foot in with the clan, given that they're the Yakuza and they seem like they might be a pretty sweet group to work for. But then again, we don't know for sure that that's the case. For all we know, she could just be some independent spirit who's off doing her own thing and likes graffitiing up Inari shrines. Here's a crazy crackpot theory. What if this girl right here is the Fox hero? She's a fashion model by day and sneaky fox ruffian by night. Could be real, could not be. If it is though, you know I'm gonna keep telling you I told you so until the day Overwatch actually dies. Anyways, that seems to be all the big details we really have to pick up on so far regarding this new Fox hero, which is pretty blatantly teased on the new Kanezaka map, and I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you agree that this is in fact the character being teased? And if they are a hero, what sort of kit and abilities do you think they're going to possess, and how do you think they're going to tie into the Shimada clan alongside Hanzo and Genji? As always, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe, hit up that bell icon, and come follow me on Twitter if you enjoyed this video, and never want to miss out on any future Overwatch news and content. Special thanks to my YouTube channel members who help make these videos possible, and if you'd like to join them to support my content, then just hit that join button down below, and you'll also earn some cool rewards in the process. Otherwise, this is Master Ian Gamer signing off, and until next time, have a great day.